You meet someone new. A handshake. A glance. Maybe half a sentence of small talk. And before they've said anything real, you already know how you feel about them. You didn't choose to decide this fast. You didn't even notice you were deciding. But the real answer is far stranger than simple first impressions. Your brain isn't waiting to gather evidence. It's already finished the trial before the conversation begins. Think about the last time you walked into a room full of strangers. Your eyes moved from face to face. Something in you was sorting them. Friendly, cold, trustworthy, dangerous. All of that happened in less time than it takes to blink twice. Who taught you to do that? Nobody did. That's the strange part. In 1993, psychologist Nalini Ambady ran an experiment that would rewrite how scientists thought about judgment. She showed people silent video clips of college professors teaching. The clips lasted 6 seconds. No sound, no context, just faces and gestures. She asked viewers to rate the professors on qualities like warmth and competence. Then she compared those snap ratings to something much bigger. Real end-of-semester evaluations written by students who had spent an entire term with these professors. The 6-second strangers and the semester-long students agreed, almost perfectly. Ambady called this thin slicing, the idea that people can extract meaningful, often accurate judgments from tiny slivers of behavior. A few seconds of body language, a flash of expression. That's sometimes all it takes to predict outcomes that took other people months to reach. But here's the question that should unsettle you. If 6 seconds is enough, how much shorter can it get? Psychologist Robert Zayonk had already been chasing that question decades earlier. In the 1980s, he proposed something radical for his time. He argued that emotional reactions can happen before conscious thought even catches up. Not after you've analyzed a face. Before. Your gut responds first. Your reasoning brain arrives late, and mostly just explains a decision that was already made. Later research pushed the timeline even further. Psychologists Janine Willis and Alexander Todorov ran a study in 2006 that has become one of the most cited findings in social psychology. They showed participants photographs of unfamiliar faces for just 1/10 of a second. Not 6 seconds. Not even 1 full second. 1/10 of a second. And still, people formed judgments, trustworthy or not, competent or not, likable or not. Then Willis and Todorov gave a second group of participants unlimited time to study the same faces, as long as they wanted, no rush. Their conclusions barely changed. Sit with that for a second. Unlimited time produced almost the same verdict as 1/10 of a second. Your brain isn't slowly building a case against a stranger's face. It's rendering a verdict, then spending the rest of the encounter defending it. Why would evolution build a brain like that? Wouldn't it be safer to gather more information before deciding who to trust? Not if you were living in a world where hesitation could kill you. For most of human history, meeting an unfamiliar person wasn't a neutral event. It could mean an ally. It could mean a threat. Anthropologists studying small-scale societies have long noted that early human groups were tight, mostly made up of kin and known neighbors. A stranger appearing at the edge of camp was rare, and rare things demanded fast answers. Is this person safe? Is this person part of my group? Should I run? There was no time for a slow, careful analysis. Natural selection doesn't reward the most accurate thinker. It rewards the thinker who survives long enough to pass on their genes. A brain that judges quickly, even imperfectly, beats a brain that judges perfectly, but too late. So your ancestors' brains got fast, faster than conscious thought. The amygdala, the almond-shaped structure buried deep in your brain that specializes in detecting threat, doesn't wait for your prefrontal cortex to weigh the evidence. It fires first. It reacts before you're even aware there was something to react to. That circuitry didn't disappear because you no longer live near unfamiliar tribes or dangerous predators. It's still running, every single day, on every single face you see. Which means the barista who seemed unfriendly might just have your ancient threat detector working overtime on nothing. Here's where it gets stranger still. Todorov's later research found that certain facial features consistently trigger judgments of trustworthiness, regardless of the person's actual character. Wider eyes, slightly raised eyebrows, a face shape closer to what we associate with happiness at rest. None of these features tell you anything true about who someone is. But your brain treats them as evidence anyway. This means trust itself, one of the most important currencies in human life, is partly decided by bone structure and resting expression. Not honesty, not history, geometry. Doesn't that feel like a strange trade? Your brain built an entire snap judgment system to keep you safe, and along the way, it also started judging people by things they can't control. Modern life didn't remove this system, it just gave it new places to run wild. A resume photo, a dating profile, a thumbnail on a video, a LinkedIn headshot. Every one of these gets the same ancient tenth of a second treatment your ancestors gave to a stranger walking out of the trees. Except now, the stakes have changed shape. Instead of deciding whether to run, your brain is deciding whether to swipe, whether to hire, whether to trust a stranger's opinion online. And you almost never catch yourself doing it. That's the unsettling part. The judgment feels less like a decision and more like a fact. You don't experience it as my brain generated a fast guess. You experience it as, I just know this person is like this. Confidence arrives instantly. Certainty follows a moment later. Evidence, if it ever shows up, arrives last, and often gets bent to match the verdict you already reached. Psychologists call this confirmation bias, and thin slicing hands it plenty to work with. Once your brain decides someone is warm, you start noticing warmth. Once it decides someone is cold, warmth stops registering. The tenth of a second doesn't just create a first impression. It quietly edits everything that comes after. So what do you do with a brain built like this? You can't switch it off. The circuitry is older than language, older than agriculture, older than most of what you'd call civilization. But you can notice it. That alone changes something. The moment you recognize that your instant read on a stranger is a guess dressed up as certainty, you gain a small but real power. The power to pause. The power to ask whether the story you just wrote about someone in a tenth of a second deserves the authority you're about to give it. Because here's the truth hiding underneath all of this. You've spent your entire life believing that judgment is something you do slowly, carefully, after gathering the facts. But the real story is that you already judged the stranger before you even decided to look.